Hey, Scott Novus here with another Obsidian video. This time we're going to go a little bit more advanced. I'm going to show you a couple of pretty awesome plugins and what you can do with them. And so this is going to help bring your projects and areas to life. And then I'll do another video to dive into the next level. So if you've got your base Obsidian setup and you've got your projects, areas, resources, archives, place to keep your attachments and files. Maybe you've got ChatGPT MD installed and daily notes. You're good to go. We're now going to go to sort of next level templates. We're going to go to community plugins. We're going to browse and we're going to look, the number 2 thing with over 1 million installs is Dataview. We want to install that. We want to enable it. You can then click on the options. You do want to enable JavaScript queries. I am a fan of having inline JavaScript, and these keywords help, and I'll show you a little bit more about those. And I'll be giving you copies of my templates. You can keep the rest of it. It's all just fine. We're going to install one more. We're going to go back to community plugins. We're going to browse for, start typing Templeter. There it is. 640,000 as of the date. This is extremely powerful templating system, more powerful than the built-in one because it lets you run JavaScript inside your templates. We're going to turn it on. We're going to tell it that I'm going to actually come back and configure it because I'm going to create a separate, this is how I choose to do it. You could reuse your templates folder, but I'm going to call one Templeter. That's where I'm going to be putting my Templeter specific files. Click again, and sure enough, oh, it didn't rescan it. How interesting. There it is, Templeter. Picked it. Okay, that's our file. And it will do syntax highlighting on mobile if you want. Automatic jump to cursor, trigger, template. I use this, that if a new file is created, it gets fired up anyway. So I can use, for example, Templeter commands in my daily notes, which is pretty cool. And you can even signify some of the templates could be fired off with a hotkey. Lots of other options. We're just going to stop with those. And so the big one that what we're going to do is we're going to create a note that is going to be my project plan template. Okay, and I'm going to copy some code from my primary vault and we're going to paste it in here, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what we're looking at. So anything between 3 dashes is called front matter, and I'm running Obsidian under the editor, under properties, in source view. I'll show you the difference between those in a second. You want to be doing this right now in source view. As of version 1.14, they have this new properties view. Not ideal for this time. So what it's doing is it is setting up some aliases. This thing between an open bracket percentage and close bracket percentage, that is a Templeter command. And so we can grab data about like what date was this file created, drop that in there. I want a piece of the name of this file, drop that in there as an alias. I can set up some tags and comments. I can use that to give this file a name. And so as I go through this piece here, I leave in the template as SQL. This is Dataview code. It's a Dataview query. So how do I use all this? What difference does any of this make? Let's show it in practice. I'm going to start a new project. I put the folder in the wrong place. That was a mistake, but that's okay. Easy to correct. Project, show template. Drag that into the projects folder. Boom, not a problem. There it is. And now I'm going to make a new note inside of there. And this note is going to be called project show template, and I want an underscore at the beginning so that it always sorts at the beginning. Now here's where the magic happens. I can type Control P, Templeter, insert. I want this one, which is alternate E, to open the template modal. It gives me one template to pick from. Let's fire it off and look at what it did. So that little command got rid of this underscore in the alias. It then also used that same name, so I have a clean project header, and it inserted today's date and the creation date. All these things were filled in for me. Now, one of the things that is really powerful about this is this front matter. These variables can all be queried. They can all be used by Dataview. They're like the variables or attributes for your file. And if you go into display mode, they can show up like this, like properties, and you can hide them if you want. So you're just focused on the document itself. But in edit mode, I want to see them as just plain text that I can edit. Now, let's say I want to add a new file to this project, and this could be milestones. So I'm going to create a milestone document. Okay, double bracket, put a name in there, click, and look where that file appeared. It appeared in the same folder as the original document. I have templates for how I do all these subordinate files. I'll come back to that. But for right now, we've got a, let's call it previous note, and we'll say project show template. Now look at this. There's the original file, but the alias also shows up with a little arrow. The alias is much more readable. So I'll select the alias, and then I get a link that is very readable inside of Obsidian. So I can click on this and go back. Now, what do I use this little bit of code down here for? If I replace SQL with Dataview, and then click away, now what I get is a report that shows every file in this folder. And more importantly, if I go to, let's say I click on the milestones, it's not letting me jump to that file. I don't know why. Let's go here. All right. I can add front matter, and I could add comments, and I could say this is the project's milestones. Now let's go back and look. And sure enough, that comment now appears in this list. So this gives me a more informative directory. It gives you an example of some of the things you can do with Dataview is that it can find all of the files in a given directory. A quick walkthrough of what this code is doing. It's building a table that says do not include the default ID. So that's without ID. Make a link out of the alias and the file name, and then bring in the comments and call it the description. And I want to know where that file's path matches this folder and the file does not match the current file, and then sort them by their alias name in order. That's what it's doing. It's very much like SQL. And so if I were to add, this is the part that I find is kind of cool. Let's say you were going to have a next note, and that was going to be detailed tasks. Notice that file is created here, and you might be able to put in a create a budget, whatever you want it to be, right? Well, the file detailed tasks wouldn't necessarily appear anywhere in this original template, but it's going to appear in your file list. So as you're building out your links and your other notes, this little bit of code allows me to see really quickly every single file that's in the directory. And while you get the same thing here, because if you're using the front matter to say, to use comments, you can get a little bit more information. so that you can go, oh, I know what this is. I know what this is about. And very commonly, I will use this to manage like groups of blog posts or a series of notes that are related. And it makes it a lot easier for me to work with all of that information. So quick recap, what did I do? I installed Dataview plugin. I installed Templeter plugin. And using this project plan template, I can start a project, have a nice little checklist of what I want to remind myself for my project to be. And using Dataview, if I keep adding files in this folder, it will automatically give me a list with more information about what's in each file and why it's important. And as projects get bigger and bigger over time, this can become more and more significant. So it's a way of me getting more useful information about a project. One other example, there's a variant of this I use that will count word count. So if I'm working on a book, I can drop the word count for every chapter in its own note. And then at the top level project note, it'll go, here's your total word count. And I'm like, magic. So those are some of the things you can do that start to automate what you're doing with Obsidian.